Hi, I am Pratim Ranjan Bose and you are watching Podcast with Pratim, presented by Iravati Research and Communication Center or IRCC. In this edition, we will discuss assembly election in the newly created Union Territory of Jammu and Kashmir, which will be held between September 18 and October 1st. I have with me retired Colonel Tej Tikoo, a Kashmiri Pandit and 1971 war veteran. Cornel Tikoo is a PhD in defense studies, and he upholds the cause of the displaced minorities, including Hindu Pandits from Kashmir. Before we start, some key facts. This is the first assembly election after the abrogation of Article 370 in August 2019 and division of the erstwhile state into two union territories. We saw the Lok Sabha election was held earlier this year. So that was technically the first election in the state after the abrogation. Supreme Court of India has upheld the constitutional validity of the abrogation of the special status in December 2023. So this is now cast in stone. As per 2011 census, Jammu and Kashmir has 68.8% Muslims, mostly in Kashmir part. There are 28.8% Hindus, mostly in Jammu. There are also 1.9% Sikhs. The Union Territory has 90 constituencies and 87 lakh or 8.7 million voters. Welcome to the show, sir. Sir,
thank you very much, Pratimji, for calling me for this show. Thank you.
Sir, the new J&K with a new map is heading for polls. What has changed in these 5 years? Has there been a change in popular expectations from the government? We know that huge investments were directed to the region for infrastructure and connectivity, and more should follow. How do people respond to that? That is very important to know. And does it reflect on the local politics? More precisely, is there a churn in local politics as, these old setups of PDP, National Conference, etc., do they still enjoy people's faith? Or do you expect the rise of new forces? Over to you, sir.
Thank you, Pratimji. These are many questions you have as part of one question, but I'll try to answer. And if I miss something, you can kindly remind me that I need to answer a specific question. First of all, what changes have come about and what impact these have had in Kashmir? Whenever we talk of Jammu and Kashmir, even when Ladakh was part of the state, we always talk of Kashmir. But when we talk of Kashmir, we have to understand that we are talking about the whole of Jammu and Kashmir, including the part that is under illegal occupation of Pakistan. So when we refer to Kashmir, I will specifically mention Kashmir when it only concerns the Kashmir Valley. As you know that Jammu and Kashmir state, erstwhile state, has three distinct divisions. One is Ladakh, which is completely mountainous and majority Buddhist, though there is a large number of Muslims living in Kargil. That is no longer part of the Union Territory. So we'll confine ourselves to Kashmir Valley and Jammu region. These are two divisions. And now, obviously, momentous things have happened in Kashmir for the last about 35 years. The insurgency came up and there was an armed uprising. It continues even today, though no longer it has a popular support. But what has changed lately on August 5, 2019 is the abrogation of Article 370 and what impact it has had on the people of the state and their perception. We have to understand before that, complete Jammu and Kashmir, including Ladakh, always used to have a majority MLAs from Kashmir, nearly 46 of the 47 of them. And Ladakh had 2 and Jammu had the remaining about 30 odd. Now the seats have been increased from 83 to 90. First of all, the biggest change that has come about in Kashmir is due to few factors. First is Kashmiris over a period of time have become tired of bloodshed. And irrespective of what Pakistan might say, this is a fact. Because times have changed, new youth has come into play. When the insurgency cropped up in 89-90, it's about 35 years. So you can well imagine that anyone below 34, 35 years, he only saw bloodshed. He also saw the world moving ahead. He also saw that Pakistan, which had created all this mess, or who was a prime mover of this situation, armed uprising in Kashmir, itself has landed into trouble, economically, politically, and otherwise. And more importantly, what has happened is that political forces in the state, which were all the time ruling the state, and you know that the whole world knows that political power in the state was handled by 2-3 families over the last, ever since independence, actually, ever since accession. Those forces have not become, I would not say they have become irrelevant, but they didn't have political power, and therefore no politics was allowed to be played by them. Now, some of the things that have happened in Kashmir Valley, first of all, Article 370 has ensured that every single person living in the J&K Union territory is now covered by Government of India's Constitution of India. Firstly, it was Article 370, and a large number of constitutional provisions did not automatically apply to J&K. And there are huge number of these articles. Only those articles always used to be applied to J&K, which the ruling clique there felt was of advantage to them. For example, no reservation for ST/SC. For example, the Safai Karamcharis brought to the state in 1952 could not hope to do anything else except do their original profession. For example, almost 5 lakh refugees which had come to Jammu region from erstwhile POJK during 47 war or 65 war or 71 war had no state subject citizenship. Therefore, they could not even vote. They could not even get jobs.
Okay, so
there 5 lakhs.
just interjecting here, I had this question in mind that whether any new group will join the election. This
Say
six you
again,
are
please.
saying
I didn't get your question.
that the 5 lakh migrants, which are mostly Sikhs, so they will be the new voters in the state, right?
Yes. First of all, they are not mostly migrants. They are not mostly Sikhs. They are everyone.
Okay.
Most of them are Hindus because they could not survive in that environment in Pakistan occupied Jammu and Kashmir. So they came this side because of the communal strife. So they are now eligible to vote in the state assembly, which is a very big factor. Secondly, there were no reserved seats for scheduled tribes and scheduled castes in the states. Like you have reserved seats in rest of India, even assembly or in parliamentary elections, but there were no scheduled tribes seats in the state. And you will be amazed to know that now the seats in the JKUT have increased from 83 to 90, and the 7 seats are all scheduled tribe seats, Bakarwals, Gujars, Gadis, and those types of people who were politically disempowered because of Article 370. So this is a big change. But more importantly, what has happened, after Article 370 was removed, that there were dire warnings issued by Mehbooba Mufti, dire warnings issued by Farooq Abdullah, dire warnings issued by Islamists, that there is going to be a massive revolt, the rivers of blood will flow, and nobody will be able to unfurl Indian flag. All that has not happened. And in fact, what has happened even though I have spent all my lifetime there before we were displaced, I have never seen so many Indian flags fluttering there as I see now. So there is obviously a change. But why has this change come? First, I said that there was a fatigue factor. Second was that the world has moved on and the new generation wants to do well in life. They think that the route that was selected by their forefathers or those who were in the who were ruling the Kashmiri mind, that did not take them anywhere, and they need to be economically better off, and they are looking forward. This was it. But more importantly, what has happened? Some years back, they had the DDC elections and Panchayat. This Panchayat Act did not apply to J&K during Article 3. Now, what has happened?
Yeah.
You had only 46 MLAs from, for example, from Kashmir Valley. So all the political power was in their hand. And when I say political power, it also means the financial power. Now, when you have elections at the district level, you have a district development board. There are, how many people are there? There are 30, 40 people there. So every district has these many number of people, their families. And the money coming to the district is now devolved by these people, it is spent by these people. They are answerable at the district level, and therefore the supervision is much more closer. Similar is the case with panchayats, gram panchayats. When the money comes to gram panchayat, they are the ones who spend it, and everyone is looking at it. So there has been.
So I think we will see panchayat election after this, right?
Yeah, they might be, I don't know, they will have, because panchayats are already functioning there. So when their elections are going to be here, that is not very, but point is this, that the political power in Kashmir Valley has been devolved to nearly, I had calculated at one time that over 60,000 people are having political power, wielding political power, compared to 46 MLAs who used to do it before. Therefore, you can yourself imagine the change it must have brought about in the society, in the village. Then, next point is the enormous amount of money that has gone into the state. Money used to go before also, but unfortunately, as we know, most of it used to go to the pockets of ruling clique, the powerful bureaucrats, and those who wielded power. But now, because there is there's a political vacuum in a sense that nobody is wielding political power except the panchayats and the DDCs, most of the money is being spent for the purpose for which it has been sent. And secondly, because there was no audit, because state would not permit it, Article 370 was there, now everything is audited. So there it has made a lot of difference in the corruption, with the result that money has gone to the last man in the line. Though it is, I would say that it is not completely been eradicated, but to a large extent, whatever money was going from central government to Kashmir initially was misappropriated. And let me tell you, if you see the records before these last 10 years, before Article 370's abrogation, you go back, every single research conducted at the highest level by not just by Indian agencies, but even international agencies, always put Kashmir at number 1 or number 2 in corruption. That is gone. So obviously all the center funds that are going there are definitely being used for people's convenience, for people's progress, for the development of the state. So this is another reason why things seem to have gone not from worse to worse, but from worse to good, and now even better. And this was visible in the last Lok Sabha elections, when overwhelmingly people voted, irrespective of who won and who lost, but people did vote. That means they showed confidence in the electoral system, and you had over 50% voting all over, except for Srinagar, because Srinagar still
I think that
continues
we
to be
saw in the state after many decades.
You see, we had this election in 2000. We had elections after the insurgency broke in 90. We had election 2002, 2000.
Elections were held, but the voting rate always used to be low.
Yes, voting rate, or because the Islamists used to have huge influence on how they, because they wielded, you have to understand, it is not that every Kashmiri was agreeing with them, but because they had this Hizbul Mujahideen, they had these Islamist armed militant groups under their control. So if you kill one person in a street, nobody will go out to vote. Fear is there. Everyone did not agree with them, but it is out of fear they could not go out. So to a large extent, these people, particularly those who were having state patronage, they have been eliminated to a large extent. So their influence has automatically gone down. And I would also say that Pakistan itself is in a mess, so I don't think they are in a position to really influence the Kashmiri youth. So that has also gone, that's also played its part.
Okay. Sir, just a quick question. I'm just asking it again. You said 5 lakh new voters or 5 lakh citizens, which will...
No, this is a citizen. Out of them, how many will become voters? That's a separate issue.
Okay, so they will influence the polls. This is a new...
Obviously.
That will... Second is, sir, after delimitation of these 90 seats, how many are in Jammu and how many are in Kashmir part?
I think there are about 47 are in Kashmir and the remaining are in Jammu region.
Okay. And then there is a new constituency as well with these 7 J&K seats. One curious one question. There were in the previous assembly, there were some seats were kept apart for those POK. Okay.
They are still being kept. They are still being, but they are not part of this 90.
Okay.
Yes, there are 25 seats which have been kept reserved for Pakistan occupied Jammu and Kashmir, but they are not part of this 90. They are over and above this.
So do they remain vacant?
Yeah, they remain. They're not taken into the assembly elections, and the strength of the assembly is calculated, or the number of elections seats the election has been held for. It's everywhere like.
Okay, sir. Predominance of separatism, you spoke about it. Predominance of separatism created a huge mental divide between Kashmir and the rest of India in the past. The hand of Pakistan widened the gap, and Kashmir lived in isolation for nearly 4 decades. Over the last 5 years, the government created windows for social mixing of Kashmiri youth with the rest of India. At least I saw this much in my own eyes. From school children to college students are now visiting premier institutes across the country for internship. Is this helping bridge the gap? What more do you expect to complete the mental integration? Over to you, sir.
You see, we have to understand one important thing, that for the last 15 years, I would say there has been a massive increase in the economy of India as a whole. So that is number one. And Kashmir, unfortunately or fortunately, whatever way you want to look at it, has only one or two industries. One is the tourism, and the other is the handicraft, horticulture, and that kind of a job. But it has no industry, primarily because no industrialists could go there because they could not buy land and open industry. So therefore, when you have a and also you have to look at, now compare this with the state of literacy in Kashmir. You will be amazed to know that ever since independence, ever since accession, Kashmir has always had the highest level of literacy. It is among the highest literate states in the country.
It is
most literate states. Kerala and after that. So even now it is even better. Because of this reason, people were not going to get jobs there in Kashmir, so they have to go out. So you will find a large number of Kashmiri Muslim youth doing jobs in Pune, Bangalore, Delhi.
Yeah, they are everywhere.
So it does help in a way to understand India better, and it does help in a way of trying to get over the prejudices that you have when you are living only in Kashmir and listening to only one side of the story all the time, because we should not discount the effect of radical Islam is this. So we should not discount the effect that Pakistan has had on Kashmir. And particularly, we have to understand, when the uprising took place, the Islamic thought process, the concept of jihad played an extremely enormous role. And this is slowly, this is, as I said earlier, this is losing its impact. In fact, this was one of the reasons why Kashmiri Pandits were thrown out. Otherwise, we had very good relations with Muslims of Kashmir. We always had. But when this concept of jihad took over and, Jamaat Islami played a proxy for Pakistan, or ISI infiltrated, and government of India had become too weak in that period after, I would say, after Mrs. Gandhi's assassination till about 15, 20 years back. So we had so many prime ministers, 8, 9 of them coming one after another, and Pakistan was getting stronger because in Afghanistan, America needed Pakistan to throw Soviets out, and there was a revolution in Iran. So there was a militant revival of Islam which impacted Kashmir also. And it impacted Kashmir when India was at its weakest. So all these factors are no longer in play now, and hopefully things are going to get better. But I would say that despite all that, we don't talk of the displaced Kashmiri Pandits. Ultimately, the acid test of how much India has succeeded in integrating Kashmir is the return of Kashmiri Pandits. After all, they were thrown out the point of gun. They lost everything, and they just left with whatever they were wearing, and what we underwent there, that has been recorded in many places and many books. But I would still feel that unless Kashmiri Pandits, and we were the bulk of those who were displaced, or 98% were Kashmiri Pandits. So unless they return to their roots and return to the place to which they belong for thousands of years, I would still say that that is the acid test of normalcy. That is the acid test of whether Kashmir is fully got integrated with the rest of India or not.
Okay. I'll get back to this point. I wanted to end this with Pandits. You have spoken about the this jihadist activities, and that they got tired, and lack of the geopolitical activities which are going on in that region have subsided a little compared to in the past. Now we are finding separatists are taking the electoral process. We saw in Lok Sabha election. I'm sure there will be many in the assembly election. What do you expect? What is this? What does this signify? I mean, there can be is there a fear that they can come and through electoral process and can hijack the democratic system?
See, this is a very good question you have asked me, because you know that Engineer Rashid won the last parliamentary election, though he was fighting from jail, and he is one of the separatists, though not to that extent. He is one of the moderate separatists, I would say. I have a feeling that there will be separatists, those who at least, vouch for separatism. What is their thinking now? Obviously, it is not the same as it was in 89-90. It's different.
Just interjecting. There is, we saw separatists, for example, in Mizoram, right? So they came and it became peaceful. So separatists can join the electoral process and then can contribute to the democracy. It is proven. The only difference is whether there is an ideology that comes in between. Over to you, sir.
No, it is not the ideology. The difference between Mizoram and Kashmir is that in Mizoram there was no Pakistan to continuously keep the fire burning. In Kashmir there is Pakistan. That is otherwise there is no ideological this thing. After all, if the ideological process that is impacting them is based on religion, there is no ban on religion in Kashmir, and in fact, it is flourishing. No one has ever complained that Islam is not being allowed to be practiced. No one has ever complained about it. The problem is of Pakistan, and it is the Pakistani proxies which have grown there over a period of 60, 70 years. As you saw recently, the Director General of Police, he gave a statement, and he gave a very, very damaging statement. He said that the mainstream political parties in Kashmir were mainstream Pakistan. He said that. And this is a fact. This is an open secret. So what has happened is over a period
The
of
links
time,
between Kashmir politics and Pakistan were established in the past.
And they
Because
are
Pakistan, Kashmir politics, there were many in situations where Kashmir politics wanted intervention or presence of third party.
correct. That is true. It's a different matter that Pakistan's intentions were not noble at all. In fact, this is one of the reasons why 47, 48 infiltration, 65 infiltration, and now this going on for 35 has not succeeded, because Kashmiris understand the ignoble intentions of Pakistan. They are interested in land. They are not interested in the people, because people are better off. Even
Meanwhile,
today,
there
people
is
are better.
agitation in POK against the Pakistan government.
So you can imagine they want to join India because the situation there is pretty bad. Because I would not go to that at another level, because we all know how Pakistan was created and why Kashmir issue became a cancer for the subcontinent. We all know that. Unfortunate part was that the Islamic sentiments were exploited by Pakistan during that period.
That is the did throughout the region. They were an army, unfortunate that is, but they were available on hire. They wanted to wield that power. So you were saying about your expectations that I think you were saying that this is the mainstreaming is happening, right?
Yes, it has been happening though over the last 10 years, ever since at least when it became the UT. There is a lot of control has been exercised, but you must have read that many government officials have been thrown out of their jobs. Many people have been caught siding with the militants or having links with them. Slowly, but it's a long process. It's going to take a lot of time. And the worst part of the election should be held. Popular government should be ruling the state. There's no denying that. But unfortunate part is when the politicians come back and start ruling the states, because they have to get votes, they keep everyone happy, including those who have connections with Pakistan. That is going to be a negative fallout of this.
Yeah, unfortunately, democracy also needs votes of criminals.
Correct.
So,
That is
forget
the
about militants, but we see the democracy is not a foolproof process.
Yeah, absolutely.
And
As
we have seen criminals winning MP elections and other things and ruling, dominating in other parts of the country as well. So,
Yes, a Churchill very famously once said, "Democracy is the form of government till you find a better one."
so there are the point is that there are downside risks, but this is the most among the available situation. This is the best option.
And the other thing is
it is
you
helping
have
what you
this.
said at the beginning of this discussion, that it is helping decentralization of power. So that will keep people, instead of quelling that religious activism or militant thing, it will take people towards development and other goals, more important goals than these goals. That is,
Yes.
I think
And
that
there is another international angle also. In Kashmir, if a leaf falls from a chinar tree and on the ground, it becomes an international issue. Kashmir is because there are forces who are all the time keeping a watch. And one of the biggest advantages of holding election is that our enemies will not have any reason to say that Delhi is ruling Kashmir. Why don't Kashmiris rule themselves? Why don't you have elections? Now that at least that plank will be gone away from them.
no. It's if we say that it's a part of India, integral part of India, then it should enjoy the same democratic rights as other part of India. I mean, you cannot
Quite,
deny that, and you must
quite
not
right.
deny that.
Quite right. Quite right.
Sir, last, I have only just in very short. When do you expect Kashmiri Pandits returning to? It's a very difficult process. More than other things, it is basically the land and assets has been grabbed, and no one wants to part with that. It is unfortunate. I mean, wherever this is in other parts. So when do you expect the relocation process to start? Do you think that see that Kashmiri Pandits are once again going there and doing business or something? This train has started.
You see, Kashmiri Pandits have been going to Kashmir, but they have been going only as tourists, and they have been going only to just take care of the, now that situation is a little more peaceful. Their places, iconic places, religious sites, their
You are a
saints.
very influential community. I mean, for the audience, Kashmiri Pandits are very influential community. The history is that in this area was converted to Islam, and they are so you are a very influential community, and you can do a lot of things. So, are you investing before the outsiders invest in Kashmir? I mean, we are talking about UAE and others, but are Kashmiri Pandits going back and investing money in Jammu and Kashmir?
I'm not sure if they are doing it at individual level. Some people have done it because our problems are different. Our problems is resettlement. It is not like somebody establishing a business house. Say if Ambanis have business in Guwahati, it is not like that. Ambanis might go, or Adanis might go, or anybody else might go to Kashmir. Now NBCC is constructing a big township. For us, it's a matter of security. It's a matter of dignity. It's a matter of honor to go back to where we belong for thousands of years. So our problems are totally different. Individually, I know of people who have gone. Some of them have constructed even houses, but rehabilitating about 400,000 people is a different matter altogether. And also there is a lot of fear because recently, two big houses were burned, heritage houses, which were about 200-300 years old, were burnt in Matan area, Anantnag district. So it is not that we are not the targets. Even in the last, between 20 and 21st, about 10 of our Kashmiri Pandits, one Bindru was killed who had never left Kashmir, and he was one of the biggest medical store owners who always helped people. He was killed. So whenever there is this talk of Kashmiri Pandits going back, the militants will come and hit at you, induce fear. And since we have suffered this, nobody wants to go back like that.
Okay. I'm stopping you here. So this is, thank you for enlightening us. And I can say my family belong to East Bengal. So I wish you can go back. But unfortunately, it so happens that the property, once basically it is a fight for property. And once someone grabs your stuff, the space, they never give back, or they never expect to give it back. It is not a religious issue. It is more about money and influence. So
absolutely, only thing is this, that it was given a religious color.